let me tell you guys about a little sequel called The Evil Within 2. The Evil Within 2 was released in 2017 by Tango Gameworks on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One and PC. The reception was pretty good, and the sequel received pretty much the same praises and criticism as the previous game. Though this game was generally described as more of the same, there is some, for me, major differences that changes the game in a way which we will discuss later in the video. I will keep this video spoiler free, but if you haven't played the first game, then this won't apply to you. Therefore, I strongly recommend you to play The Evil Within 1 before watching the rest of the video. Anyway, let's begin with story. We return as Sebastian Castellanos, but this time he has left the Crimson City Police Department and is slowly spiraling down the bottom of a bottle. It's been 3 years since the strange events happened at Beacon Mental Hospital, and when we enter the story, Sebastian is drowning in guilt and sorrow for the death of his child and his wife leaving him as a result of it. As he slips further and further into the agony of being sober and not being able to forget the past, a friendly voice reaches in and pulls him back into the world of the living and offers a way out by going back within. Apparently, someone dear to him is not dead and very much alive, but is in danger and needs his help. Sebastian, still drunk, don't want to hear it at first, and there's a struggle, but with a little bit of persuasion, they bring him along anyway. Sebastian is brought to a Mobius facility where the administrator, who is the head of the facility, tries to convince him to reconnect with them and help them find their lost Mobius team sent in a week earlier to solve a problem. Sebastian, reluctant at first, agrees to help. The visuals are greatly improved since the first game. Every aspect of the technical side of things is bumped up to 11 in comparison. Textures, lighting, particles and overall visual effects, both looks and plays great. Animations, physics and other moving objects looks smooth and feels really good. And like the first game, The Evil Within 2 really shines when we're in dark and small, tight and claustrophobic corridors, caves and rooms. But unfortunately, as we will touch on later, there's a design choice here which makes some larger areas look and feel very dull and not fitting the overall theme of both games. This choice also sadly affects enemy animations and behavior here, which sometimes in these larger areas feels stupid, broken, sometimes glitchy and most of the time not scary at all. But as I said before, when we get past these areas and find ourselves quote-unquote on rails in these smaller set pieces, that's when the game really shines. First of all, I wanna say that I'm disappointed that the creepy safe room music doesn't have the same effect anymore. It's still in the game, but it's kinda stuffed inside a safe room already, kinda like a room within a room. So by the time you hear the music, you're already in a safe place, which kinda misses the point of the first game. Anyway, the audio here is overall improved and I'm happy to say that even the gun sounds better in the sequel. There are some exceptions though. The music is a little bit more integrated in the gameplay here. It comes and goes but generally without drowning out the ambient audio, which is really good. Squeaking doors, spooky rooms, outlandish dream areas, monsters, weird machines and scary creatures all sound great. The voice acting also returns with its straight-to-DVD feel and it absolutely fits the game. It's wonderfully stale, a bit awkward at times and comes with a script that sometimes just makes me laugh. It's great. This is the big one right here. If you're a fan of open world kind of gameplay, where you can kinda choose where to go and what to do, then I guess this change of gameplay is right up your alley. But for me, it kinda changed the whole game for the worse. Let me explain. The Evil Within 2, kinda like the first game, is built around these amazing set pieces, where the player is pushed around a theme park haunted house kind of experience, which is absolutely great and super well designed. But the problem here, if you ever been to a theme park in comparison, is that instead of just going from ride to ride, you're allowed to walk around the amusement park and kinda find the next ride. But with that kind of freedom comes a price. Like the first game, this is a looter-shooter survival game, but when you're freely allowed to roam around to loot and even craft ammunition for all your weapons whenever you want to, then the survival part kinda disappears. You feel strong in this game, while everything else feels weak and stupid. It kinda becomes obvious that the enemy design here was meant for small and tight areas, and the fine-tuned balance of when a player is allowed to find ammo or health or even level up is completely out the window. In previous title, I feel like the game kinda knew if I had a lot of health or ammo and adjusted accordingly to keep me on the edge. All of that is completely gone this time around. I think at the time there was a lot of pressure to insert open world elements in games, and even though they maybe wanted to meet that trend for the better, in the end I think it only hurt the game. But as I said before, if you like this kind of freedom and feeling of being strong, then this change is absolutely perfect for you. Other than that, the game kinda plays as the first one. It has the same awkward control scheme as before, similar weapons, not maybe the same kinda rock paper scissors feeling as before, but the elements are still there. This time around, you can carry more bottles and even keep an axe as a sidearm while shooting, but it still breaks after one single use. Not much has changed for the boss fights. It's still kinda uninspiring, but the monster design is still top notch. They're creative, creepy, horrific, and just fun to experience. Even though I think this is the lesser of the two games, I still think it's worth your time. And if you don't enjoy the open world part, you kinda don't have to free roam, even though you probably miss some side quests or new weapons, as it doesn't really affect the story or the rest of the game. The Evil Within 2 is available on PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, S and X and PC. I hope you'll have a lot of fun. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay beautiful.